Welcome, welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu asok b'divrei Torah. So
Amen.
we
Amen.
we are still in these blessings. In fact, we're going to finish up, God willing, we'll finish up Joseph's blessing, that is Jacob's blessing of Joseph. And also there's one more beyond that, but perhaps that'll be next time around. All very, very difficult, hard to sort of get a gestalt on. But basically, in other words, what is the Torah really trying to teach us here? With the Joseph blessing, I did feel it had to do, we brought this out the last time, uh, that out of very, very difficult circumstances, sometimes very good things can happen. If you look at, of course, Joseph's story. So, continuing, Me'el avicha v'yazreka, right? So, through the God of your fathers, or your father, or your fathers, v'yazreka, and he will aid you, v'et Shaddai, and together that is, and God, the Almighty will also, v'yivaracheka, will also bless you. So God will aid you, and the God of your fathers will aid you, and the Almighty will bless you. Birchot shamayim me'al, blessings from heaven above. Birchot tohom rovetzet tachat, blessings of the great deep that couches or crouches below. Birchot shadayim, the blessings of breast, varacham, and the womb. So lots blessings. In other words, it sounds to me as if this is an expression of blessings on every of on any in every conceivable way. So let's take a look at the Rashi here. Me'el avicha, right? Haita lachazot. In other words, so Rashi does this from time to time, and that is just to run on a line. So, in other words, these come to you from the God of your fathers, the who Yazreka, and he will come to your aid. The et Shaddai, right? The im, so et can sometimes mean with, and with the Holy Wind, blessed. The im Hakadosh Baruch Hu Haya Libcha. In other words, your heart was with God, with the Holy One, blessed be He. Keshelo shamata lidivrei adonatcha, when you did not heed the words of your mistress, right, Potiphar's wife, v'hu yivarcheka, and he will bless you for refusing to submit to her. Birchot Shadayim Verachim, the Birkata, this is Aramaic here, right? The Abba Ama. In other words, the blessings of father and mother. So Shadayim Verachim, he understands as a poetic expression of your mother and your father. Bomar, that is to say, Yitbarchu Hamolidim Vahayildot. So in this case, it refers to may the ones who sire and those who conceive be blessed. Shehiyu Haskarim, and how will they be blessed more specifically? That the males Mizarim Tipa Harauya, that the males will impregnate with a drop fit for conception. The herayon is conception, right? So Zacharim males. Lahazria means to give seed to, or to cause to to um, to sprout, right? Tipa is a drop haruya that is fit for conception. In other words, that it should be very easy for them to procreate. Vahnekevot, and as for the males, lo yishaklu et rechem shalahem, and they should their womb should not miscarry. Lahapil uvarehem, to abort or to be unable to give birth to their fetuses, right? So,
Very specific.
go ahead. You have a question?
No, they're just really specific around this.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's comfortable about these sorts of things. Shadayim. Normally, of course, we translate that as a breast, But here, let's take a look at this. Yare, yare, okay, or your, if this is could be a vav, but the point is this is a word, or yara, to shoot. Metarganinim, he says we translate that into Aramaic, these Hebrew words, tishtad, ishtad a, yishtadeh. So that's the one. In other words, will be shot through. Af Shadayim Khan. Here too, the word Shadayim, Rashi says we don't need to translate that as breasts. We can understand Shadayim as being related to the Aramaic word to shoot. In other words, to shoot the semen. Al Shem, that is, it's also referring to the male side of conception. Al Shem She'azera Yoreka Chetz. That is to say that the seed is shot like an arrow. So there we go. Next verse. Birchot avicha, the blessings of your father, gavru al birchot orai, they surpass the blessings of my parents, ad ta'avot givot olam, up to the utmost boundaries of the hills, of the eternal hills. Tiena larosh Yosef, they should come upon the head of Joseph, ulakadkod nazir echav, and on the brow. It's kadkod actually means like skull, right? Of the elect of his brothers. And again, Rashi's going to go into these words and help us understand this. Very, 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 as you can see, intense use of language here. Birkot avicha gavru, right? The blessings of your father are greater, surpassed. Habrachot sheberchani hakadosh baruch hu, that is to say, the blessings which the Holy One, blessed be He, blessed me, gavru v'halchu, continued to strengthen. They got greater and greater. Al habrachot shebirech et orai, more than the blessings with which He blessed my parents. So, and he's going to give some examples. Ad ta'avot givot olam, going on with the verse, right? Until the utmost heights of the mountains, of the eternal mountains. Lefisha habrachot sheli, and because my blessings, Jacob is saying, gavru ad sof gevulei givot olam, they were strong, okay. They were effective until the utmost ends of the heights of the world. Shinatanli bracha prutza, because God gave me, it's understood, God gave me an unrestricted blessing, bli metzarim, without any limits. Magaat ad arbak olam. It reaches to the four corners of the world. Shinemar, as it states, and remember, this is actually a quote from a verse. Ufaratzta yama vakema. God says to him, this is when he initially leaves his parents' home to go to Padan Aram. You shall stretch out south, west and east, etc., in all directions, etc. Ma shelo amar Avraham Avinu l'Yitzchak. This he did not say. God did not tell this to Abraham and to Isaac. The Avraham, so he gives the examples. The Avraham Amar, to Abraham he said, Amar lo, he said to him, Sana enecha, cast forth your eyes, or A and see, etc. Ki et kol haaretz, and he goes on to say that the entire land, asher ataroe, which you see, lacha etnena, I will give to you. V'lo her'ahu ele Eretz Yisrael bivad. And all that he saw, in other words, all he showed him, God showed him, was the land of Israel, only the land of Israel. LeYitzchak, to Isaac, Amar lo, he said to him, Ki lacha ulazaracha, for to you and your seed, eten et kol ha'aratzot ha'ela, I will give all these lands, v'hakimoti, and I will establish et hashvuah, I will establish the oath, etc. Zehu she'amar Yeshayahu. This is referenced by Isaiah in chapter 58. V'ha'achaltita he'echalticha nachalat Yaakov, and I will give you the inheritance of Jacob, your father. Velo Amar, and he did not say. Okay, so what he's saying is that the fact that that Isaiah only mentions Jacob and doesn't Velo Amar Nachalat Avraham, and he doesn't include the inheritance of Abraham, sort of underscores and supports this idea that the blessings that Jacob received were greater than the blessings of Abraham that God gave Abraham and Isaac. Uh, the word ta'ava, usually the word ta'ava means a desire, right? An appetite, something like that. And he says, no, you can go in a different direction. You can give a totally different interpretation of this particular word. And he uses a French word, asmoulé, something like that, esmoulé. Kach Hebrew Menachem ben Sarok. He says he learned this particular translation from one of his teachers, Menachem ben Saruk, and he's mentioned him before. Horai, my parents, Lashon Herayon. So again, Horai usually means my parents, but it's actually related to the ones who conceived me. That's Horai. Herayon is conception or pregnancy. Shehoruni b'me'ei imi. He made my mother God. Sorry, sorry. Uh, Isaac caused his mother Rebecca to conceive. That's how this is understood. It's a hifil, which is causative. Kamo hora gaver, and again, that's in Job, Job chapter 3, a man sired, right? That Job is referring to his own birth because he's cursing the day he was born in that particular context. So going on with this ad ta'avat, right? Again, working with this word ta'ava, meaning a boundary, ad katsot. In other words, to the end, to the border. Kamo, and it says we have a similar root word in Numbers. Looks like chapter 34. Vehit avitem lachim ligvul kedma. This is where God is setting the boundaries of the land of Israel, and it's marking the actual boundaries. And hit avitem lachim, you will mark the extent of the kedma would be the eastern boundary. So it says it in that context. Let's see. And then I'm not sure. Let's see. Uh, I'm looking. Oh, yes. Okay. And if it's there, Sham, this could be Pasuk Chet, could be referring to verse 8. And there again, it uses this word, titav lavo chamat, I think is what it's saying, or titu lavo chamat. Lavo chamat is the name of a place, and in other words, it's saying that is the boundary, lavo chamat, that the boundary line is going to extend to lavo chamat. Tiena, right? They shall be kulam l'rosh Yosef. In other words, all these blessings that he's mentioning, which you can see are quite astounding, are going to come upon the head of Joseph. In other words, Joseph is going to inherit these. Nazir echav. So the word Nazir is a word that in Hebrew that we refer to as a Nazarite, but the word itself means to separate from. And it refers in the context of a Nazarite, it has to do with separating from anything to do with grapes, not just wine, but even grape juice, even grape peels, even fresh grapes, not setting yourself apart from anything that comes from the vine. So it says prisha, right? So the one set apart to achohi. This is Aramaic, right? Prisha to achohi, the one set apart from his brothers. Shenivdal me'echav, because he was separated from his brothers, and kamo, and this is similar to vayinazru mikodshei bnei Yisrael. They will keep away, they'll remove themselves from the holy objects of the children of Israel. Nazoru achor, another expression, right? There's that word, that root nazir, right? To separate themselves, turning back. Excuse me, 1 second while I make that correction. This is Verabenu Darshu, and our rabbis interpreted. Let me see if I can I'll get this later. Vateshev be'etan kashto, that the previous verse where it said he remained in the strength of his bow. Al kvishat yitzro, this is referring to the fact that he overcame his desire, be'eshet adonav, regarding his master's wife, V'kor'o keshet, and it talks about his bow, right? He calls it a bow, al shem she'azera yoreh kachetz, and it's a reference to the fact that the semen shoots like an arrow, shoots out like an arrow. Let's see, Vayafozu zor eyadav, continuing that verse there, right? Let's see, send forth. We'll see how he uses this word. The hands of his arms. Okay. Kamo vayafutsu. So he says, sorry. So let's try this as vayafuzu, as vayafutsu. I can double check and see what it says back up here. Let me see. Uh, it's up here. Make sure. Here, vayaf. It looks like vayaf. I'm going to vayafozu. So he's giving a different interpretation to these words. That some of these words can actually have a totally different meaning. So he says here, okay. Kamo yafutsu, that is to stretch out or to go out. Sheyatsa hazera, and again being very specific here, that the semen came out mibein etzbot yadav, that it came out of the fingers of his hands. He had to control himself so much. So obviously, I mean, it's a very explicit description of saying how difficult it was for Joseph to withstand Potiphar's wife's encroachment on him. But that's the lafutz, to spread out, to go forth. Midei avir Yaakov, from the hands or from the power of the strong one of Jacob. Shinir ata, right? So Shinirata Midei could be on account of the powerful one. Jacob is how he's translating this. Shinir Atalo, because at that moment when he was so tempted to lie with Potiphar's wife, his Demut Diokno Shel Aviv, this image of his father appeared to him at that moment. So that's that reference there. V'chula, etc. Kedeita basota. We find this particular reference in Sota, this interpretation in the tractate Sota on page 36. V'unkulus tirgem, and Unculus translates it as ta'avat olam, lashon, that avot olam he translates as lashon ta'ava. He understands it as desire, v'chemda, and longing. Ugivot lashon mitzukei aretz, and he understands givaot would normally mean hills, as meaning the pillars of the earth. Vehem habrachot, and the pillars, I think, and he's referring here to the blessings. Shechem datan imo, that his mother longed for. His kikat his kikto lekablam, and she obliged him to receive the blessings. Remember the blessings of Isaac, where he tricked Esau out of those blessings. And I'm going to stop here for now. So I'm going to stop the share. So this is, as I said, it's very intense kind of stuff. And I don't know if you have any questions or any thoughts before I stop the recording. Bart, any thoughts? You'll need to come off mute.
I mean, I just never realized that the Bible was so explicit, or the Bible. If this is really the
Interpretation.
Talmud,
Yeah,
yeah. I
right.
mean, they're going through it blow by blow. I mean, it's
Yes. I know. Um, it's done in a context of, as it were, a study, right, of examination, and it's examining life, and life has these particular explicit moments in it as well, and it doesn't want to, it's as if you're taking a class in let's say, in obstetrics, you have to discuss stuff that people usually find difficult to talk about. But this is nevertheless, you could, if you'd look at it in a serious kind of way to examine and understand it better, the degree to which we're talking about human experience. So this is, of course, a pretty intense example of it. Okay, I'm gonna assume that we are done for today, so I'm gonna stop the recording and we'll be off the record.